Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the God, whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. I hope you're doing well. As yet, what we have seen is that God's religion, ad-Deen, has come to us through His messenger. May His mercy be on him. This Deen is comprised of Al-Kitab, the law, and Al-Hikmah, moral principles and beliefs. The ultimate goal is to enter the paradise. This Deen has been completed with the last prophet. This Deen is actually ensured that God has perfected His mercy on humans. This message is meant for the entire mankind. This is the last message of God that He has given to humankind until the day of judgment. And therefore, this message has been fully preserved through satisfying the criteria of ijma, complete unanimity, and tawatur, uninterrupted continuity. This message is contained in the Quran and Sunnah. Both satisfy the criteria of ijma and tawatur. However, there is a third source as well, a natural source in the form of hadith, which even though is neither satisfying the criteria of complete unanimity, ijma, nor of tawatur, uninterrupted continuity, however, it is an important source too, even though its reliability is not 100% certain. It's a footnote explanation of the Quran and Sunnah. This is the total package of religion, the religious information, religious data, if you like. But there are other sources as well about which there are claims that they too are religious sources. We talked about Imams, which in particular the Imamis and the Shia Muslims believe are also very much a part of the package of religious information. We have people who believe that ijma, complete agreement of scholars, is also a part of religious information which needs to be taken seriously, even though we saw that there are others who believe that there is no ijma outside the Quran and Sunnah. We also saw that ijtihad and qiyas are also tools of Islamic learning, employed on the data available in the Quran, Sunnah and Hadith to find out how Muslims should behave, how they should decide in matters which are not directly mentioned in the Quran, Sunnah and Hadith. Now let's move on. Religious differences. Why are there religious differences? What exactly is the extent of these differences? And what exactly has God done to enable people to overcome these differences? Are there any problems and difficulties? What should an individual do when he finds himself in a state where there are so many different opinions? And what should we do if we all together want to follow Islamic principles in our collective life as a group, but we find that there are differences? These are the questions that we are going to talk about in the next two sessions. So the first one is religious differences, part 1. It's a reality that there are religious differences amongst Muslims. Those differences are big and small. They are in the domain as important as beliefs, and they are also there in such important matters of practical significance as are categorized as huge big crimes, the kabair, the significant crimes. There is difference of opinion as to whether a certain act is a huge crime or not? When we talk about beliefs, we talk about belief in one God. What exactly is belief in one God is something which is disputed. I mean, there are some people who would believe that approaching God through saints, prophets, is fine, is desirable. Others would say it's compromising unity of God. All Muslims believe that there's going to be a life after death and a day of judgment. But there are Muslims who believe that on the day of judgment they are going to get a special treatment and are going to be rescued despite their poor performance, because they are going to be interceded for. Their shafaat is going to be done by the Prophet, may God's mercy be on him. There are others who believe that the process of accountability is going to be absolutely fair. So there is a difference of opinion. Then we have belief in the prophets and the fact that we believe that Prophet Muhammad, God's mercy be on him, is the very last prophet of God. There is no disagreement amongst Muslims regarding that understanding. However, what does it actually mean? Does it mean that all divine revelation has ceased to come to humans anymore? Does it mean that God is not going to talk to humans through other ways? There is a difference of opinion. There are some people who believe that finality of prophethood means that no further communication with humans is allowed by God after the finality of prophethood, and there is going to be no communication either through whatever you call it, ilham or wahi or dreams, etc. There are others who believe that there are many good Muslim saints who are in contact with God and they continue receiving messages from God through their ilham, through their dreams. Likewise, there is a problem regarding murder. It's a huge crime, one of the biggest crimes. There are people who believe that a certain act is a murder, unjustifiable murder. There are others who would say that it's a great act of jihad, wherein we are fighting against the enemy, the infidels, and in the process we are killing them. Likewise, zina, extramarital sex, is one of the three big crimes. However, there are certain cases wherein some people would say that it's a dirty process of indulging in zina, and there are others who would say that not at all, it's halala, it's enabling your brother to get his wife back whom he has divorced. So what I'm saying is that even though it's the same religion, the same religious tradition, there are differences of all kinds in belief system, in practices, in big matters, in small matters. The question is why? Why did the Almighty make an arrangement wherein there were so many differences of opinion? And don't forget, these differences of opinion are not just within Muslims. I mean, probably a bigger problem is, why are there so many religions? Why is it that we are Muslims and there are Christians and there are Jews and Hindus and Buddhists and atheists and many others? The Quran answers this question in verse 118 of Surah Hud, Surah 11. The Almighty says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ, had it been your Lord's will, decision, لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا, He would have designed the entire humankind to belong to one religion. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ, but He didn't decide that, and therefore they are going to continue to differ. When we try to understand this verse in the light of other mentions in the Quran relevant to this topic, what we gather is that the explanation and the translation of this verse, if done completely, putting all pieces together, what it is actually telling us is that had it been God's will, He would have decided to design the life in a manner that there won't have been any differences. but that would have defeated the purpose. God wanted this life to be a trial. He gave humans freedom. People used their freedom to be different, sometimes justifiably, sometimes unjustifiably. That's what the purpose is. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. Therefore, they are going to continue to disagree. In other words, the Almighty wanted this life of ours, the worldly life, to be a life of trial, and the next life to be a life of reward and punishment. Therefore, this life to be a proper, genuine trial, He put humans in different situations. People belong to different backgrounds, and they have been given freedom of choice. They have been given understanding of what is right from what is wrong. They have been put in different situations, and they are all being tested. They are all being tested to find out as to whether they are pursuing the truth. They are trying to understand what the truth is or not. Had all people been belonging to one religious group, one religion, one sect, one ideology, probably they wouldn't have even thought about it. They wouldn't have taken differences seriously. They would have gone through the process of following religion mechanically. But now that we know, as soon as we get mature and we become a little more mentally alert and aware, we do start realizing that there are differences. Why? Why is it that I am born a Muslim and somebody else is born to a different religious background, tradition? Why is it that within Muslims I am a Sunni or I am a Shia? Why is it that my point of view should be right? Is it that I was born accidentally into a certain family and they are the ones who have the right point of view? Obviously, that's not necessary. So, God wanted that in this scenario of diversity, people should start taking the question of differences seriously and should start searching for the truth earnestly and honestly. God has mentioned it elsewhere too, that there is no escape from the trial of this life. You've come to this world, you're beginning to mature, you have this understanding and intelligence to take decisions, then you are in a world of trial. Welcome to the world of trial. So for instance, in Surah Al-Ankabut, Surah number 29, verse 2 and 3, the Almighty says, Ahasiban nas, do these people think, Ayn yutraku, that they are going to be just spared, Ayn yaqulu amanna, simply because they say we believe, Wahum la yuftanun, and they are not going to be tested, tried. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ, indeed we tried those who came before them. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا, so God is going to make sure that He finds out those who are truthful. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ, and He's going to find out who are lying, who are the people who are cheating, deceiving. In other words, God has made it binding that when a human comes to this world, he is put through a trial or a series of trials which are actually meant to test him and find out as to whether he is truthful, he is honest, sincere in knowing what the truth is, or is deceiving or is telling lies because he's so fond of this worldly life and its glamour that he would not want to know what the truth is. The same surah, a few verses later, in verse 11, the Almighty says, وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ, and God is going to make sure that He finds out who are the people who are truly believing and who are hypocrites. In other words, this life from A to Z is a trial from the Almighty for Him to know as to who are the people who are genuinely honest, truthful, and they want to know the truth, and who are the ones who are deceiving and are telling lies. That's why God Almighty made this life the way it is, with differences of opinion, so that people could swim across and find out what the truth is and make their earnest effort. What exactly has God done himself to guide people towards the right path? This question has been answered by the Almighty in verse 213 of Surah number 2, Surah Al-Baqarah. The Almighty mentions, Kana nasu ummatan wahida. There was a time when all humans had one religion. That is, at the time of Adam and Eve, alayhimus salam, and later on, there weren't any differences. Basically, they belonged to one religious understanding. And then they differed. فَبَعْثَ اللَّهُ النَّبِيِّينَ. Then God sent His prophets, مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ, who used to give good news to those who would do good deeds and follow the right path, that there is going to be reward for them. وَمُنذِرِينَ. And they would warn those who were following the wrong track that they're going to be trouble in the future. وَأَنزَلَ مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. And along with prophets, He also revealed the book. Prophets would be there in this world on some occasions, at some places, but not everywhere all the time. Probably most part of human history has seen eras when there weren't any prophets, but there were people living. So God, along with the prophets, also sent the book. Well, actually there were books, but they were all different editions of the same book. So He mentions it in singular. Anzala ma'ahumul kitab. Why did He send this book? لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. So that the book could decide amongst men, فِي مَخْتَلَفُوا فِي, the right verdict in matters that they disagreed in. In other words, what the Almighty is saying is that the differences of opinion that humans have been sorted out, and the Almighty has given His own verdict, clear verdict, in the book, which decides about matters, religious matters, wherein humans disagree. So that's God's arrangement of enabling humans to decide as to what is right from what is wrong. Now, obviously, when you are talking about a certain area of understanding where you want to get proper answers, you would go to the experts. That's quite natural. Not all humans can be experts in religious understanding. Not all humans can be scholars. So, the Quran has mentioned a principle which is a very natural principle. Sometimes there's certain obvious things that the Almighty points at to enable people to see that, why don't they do it? The basic principle is mentioned in Surah 16, Surah An-Nahl, verse 43. He is telling the people of Mecca that if you don't know about the earlier prophets that we are talking about, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, then ask those who know it. Ask the people of the book, in kuntum la ta'lamun, if you don't know. I mean, quite obviously, if you don't know something and there are others who are experts in that field, go to them and find out what they have to say about it. So likewise, in the religious domain, not all humans are experts. So when it comes to the question of differences of opinion, it's but natural that the common man is going to resort to scholars for finding out what the correct understanding in religion for them is. The last thing that I would mention in this clip is that the Quran also points out that the matter is not quite as simple as that. There are people, unfortunately, who do not want to understand what the truth is. Why? Well, because of one reason or another. One unacceptable, unreasonable explanation or another. One important reason why people are not interested in understanding what the truth is their religious prejudice. They are emotionally attached to a certain point of view and they don't want to leave it. It's a very common reason why people don't want to know what the truth in religion is. So the Almighty mentions in Surah Al Imran, Surah number 3, verses 72 and 73, the case of the Jews. Some Jews of Medina, they found that the Prophet of God, may God's mercy be on him, has arrived, and he is inviting them to believe in the last message. They knew it was from God, but they didn't want to believe. So the Almighty says, وَقَالَتْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ, and a group amongst the people of the book said, آمِنُوا بِالَّذِي أُنزِلَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَجْهَ النَّهَارِ, and declare your belief in what these Muslims believe in the morning. وَقْفُرُوا آخِرَهُ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, and reject it in the evening so that they also come back. That is, in order to dent their confidence and belief, declare in the morning that you believe, and then in the evening you turn your backs on their belief so that they also get confused. وَلَا تُؤْمِنُوا إِلَّا لِمَنْ تَبِعَ دِينَكُمْ, and look here, do not believe in anyone except the one who shares your belief. Now, this is the problem, that there are people who would not want to listen to or believe in anything except what they have already believed in because of their prejudice, the emotional attachment that they have developed. That's quite often the reason why people don't want to know what the truth is. God says, قُلْ إِنَّ الْهُدَى هُدَى اللَّهِ, tell them that guidance, true guidance, is only the guidance of God. That is, why is it that you are bent upon following only what belongs to your group? Why are you not looking for the truth? So in other words, the Almighty is telling us that there are people, religious people, who don't want to know what the truth is because they have their own very strong emotional attachment to their religious point of view, which they have already acquired, and they don't want to look at anything else. Now, obviously, the Almighty wants that this is precisely what all humans should try to overcome. That is why He has arranged for religious differences to be there, so that all humans, all good, honest humans, should try and make an earnest attempt to know what truth is, what the message from God is. And in the process, there are some people who are going to make correct choices, and there are others who are going to make incorrect choices because they are not sincere in knowing the truth. So, all in all, what we have studied today is that there are religious differences. They are a design of the Almighty. The Almighty Himself wants to see through the trial of this life, in the scenario of differences, as to who are sincere in knowing the truth and who are not. He Himself has revealed His book, which tells what the truth is and differentiates falsehood from truth. And God wants that all of us humans should perform well in this trial of differences of opinion. I will talk about the question as to what we should do as individuals, given the differences, and what we should do as a group, as a collectivity in these differences. I hope you will join me the next time as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.